So many a question I get is, how can I get started to learn how to do friction fire if I don't have access to proper material, or how do I find, or I don't really know what proper material looks like, etc., whatever. So I'm going to show you a simple way to get started in learning at least the fundamentals on how to get started, and then we can build up from there on material selection, etc. So without further ado, I'm going to start by going to, Toys R Us for men, none other than Lowe's itself. So let's go take a walk. All right, so we had a bit of a cold snap roll through, so I'm kind of tardy on this part of the video, but we got our piece of cedar from Lowe's. I'm going to go ahead and cut it down to a fireboard and a spindle. The spindle, I really want it to be about the length of my forearm here. Reason being is that it's for comfort, really, because I don't want to be too hunched over, but I also don't want to be so up high that I come off balance. And so I find that my forearm length is about ideal, and it's about as wide as from my thumb to my pinky here, which most of these survival gurus would recommend that long anyways. So we're about there. So I'm gonna go ahead and get that cut. So measure about there. Doesn't have to be freaking perfect. Just more of a guideline than anything. Okay. So this will be my spindle. So I'm just gonna go ahead and chop it down and process it till it's a spindle. Now for my fireboard, really doesn't matter. I'm gonna cut a good chunk off of there, so then I can get multiple divots into there, and I can also put my foot down to give it some sturdiness. So I'll probably cut about a foot off. Okay, so this is going to be my hearth board or my fireboard, about 3/4 inch thick, which is ideal. So let's go ahead and get these processed, and then we'll test it out and see if it works. All right, so just to go over the process, as you saw, I just started on the corners and worked my way down, knocking off all those corners until I got a roughly round shape, and then I just start shaving it to get it as cylindrical as possible. Now from here, what I'm going to do, and it's about the width of my thumb, which is about what I want. So I'm gonna start about 3/4 inch down. I'm gonna shave up. Then I'm going to go halfway and shave up. Then I'm going to go halfway and shave up and halfway and shave up. And until I get a dome shape. Let's see if this focuses. There we go. Until I get a dome shape. And then on this end, I'm going to sharpen to generally a point. Okay. Get my point. So now our spindle's good. Hearth board will create an indentation or a detent, indent, whatever. Foot's going to go on this side. I want to be able to see what's going on, so I'm going to come in about an inch or so from the end. That way I don't break the end. And I'm going to come up about, maybe about 3/8 of an inch. Okay, so I got a spot for that. Now I just need to get my bearing block and a bow. So I got my bow, which is just a piece of hickory branch, hardwood, not gonna break. It's got a natural curve to it. It's about the length of my arm, which is good because I'm not gonna be doing short strokes. It'll allow me to do nice, long, smooth strokes. Excuse me. I have a bearing block, which is just a chunk of oak. And I just create a little divot in there so my spindle can move freely in here. From my experience learning how to do the bow drill, this was like the #1 showstopper for me, because I would have different bearing blocks, and what would end up happening is that it wouldn't be able to move so freely, and it would bind, and they would cause my spindle to fly off, all sorts of stuff. So so I found just getting a piece of oak, putting a hole in there, it's more than fine. Now, since we are cheating at this, just so we can learn the process, we're gonna take some multi-purpose grease, or WD-40, and we're just going to put in our little hole here, okay? This was another trick that I was taught when I was first learning. And hey, this will create a frictionless surface, so then your spindle can move freely and you can get the gist of everything that you need to do. Once you get the gist of it, then of course you can move on and do things a little bit more naturally, get your natural materials and going. But anyways, on my bow, I also got some 550 cord. I cut a V-notch here and a notch out here with a knot. And what I'm trying to accomplish here with this, just so we understand the sequence, is I can hold that knot in place, and then I wrap my spindle in it, try to keep it as close to center or bottom half, really, as I can. And I don't want it to be so super tight that I'm like, whatever, but just enough to where, you know, when you flick it, you get that kind of like pop right there, right? That's how you know it's nice and tight. And then with these fingers right here, I can hold down and get even more tension on the string, less or more, okay? So let's go ahead and set this up, get a burn in, and let's see if the Lowe's material will produce an ember for us. So another note is when you come around for your bearing block. First off, I want my hearth board centered on my foot in the arch. And when I come around with my bearing block, I want to wrap around my knee, but I want to be on my wrist. That'll be, if I'm out here, that gives me too much wiggle. If I'm on my wrist though, I can lock it in, okay? So that's another mistake that I commonly see people doing, one that I did myself, where you're way out here, but your arm gets to wiggling. But if I lock in my wrist, rather, then I get more control, more stability, and I can really just lean into it. Okay, lean into it and and give my body weight to it, rather than forcing down with my arm. Now that we've got a burn in, let's cut a notch. Okay, so I got my notch cut, and then one thing that I do is I flare out the bottom. That way the coals or the dust can collect directly underneath it instead of being pushed out, and it just helps with creating your ember. So I got my coal collection here, and I'm just gonna get my dust that I just created onto it. That's going to help me out and get me to where I need to be faster. And then I'm going to clean up my spindle here. Okay. Okay. Then let's go ahead and get all of this set back up. Like that. Ugh. All right, let's go. All right, we got it at the last second. There you go. Now from here, you don't need to be in a hurry. Let it coalesce. All right, so here's a couple things that people aren't going to tell you while you're practicing. You can tell that I'm not breathing too hard. Yeah, I'm not in the best shape. I mean, I'm breathing, but I'm not breathing too hard. I'm not in the best shape. So what that tells you, or what that should tell you, is that you don't need to exert a lot of energy doing this. Most times when people are learning how to do this, I mean, they're gunning it. You don't have to. It's all about your body weight. If the spindle starts to stick, let off the pressure a little bit, okay? Long, smooth strokes until you get a lot of smoke. Okay, and I mean a lot of smoke to where you're like breathing it in and it's choking you out. And then gun it for like count to 30. Okay, and you should be successful. But there you have it. There's no excuse for you to not practice. Go to Lowe's, pick up one of those boards for however much, $3, and get to training. Get to work. If you found this video to be valuable, please hit that subscribe button. Please hit that like button. Let me know in the comments what you think, what you want to see next. And, until next time, prepare, train, survive. And I'll catch you on the next video.